Congratulations, you've got the job interview. Now what? HR business partner interviews may consist of a number of exercises. In a nutshell, you are very likely to be assessed against both technical questions and behavioral questions or competency-based questions. Sometimes organizations may ask us to pull together a 90-day plan, in which case I've created a separate video around 90-day plan and how I've approached a 90-day presentation question in my past HR business partner interviews. Sometimes they may ask us to pull together a presentation around their people strategy and what we think it's missing or what we think our views are as to what else they could do. Sometimes organizations may send you a question where they want you to analyze it and pull together your thoughts, ideas and suggestions and deliver it over a 10 to 15 minute presentation. Sometimes these presentations could only be up to 5 minutes. Always stick to the time slot allocated for your presentations. If they say 15 minutes, they mean 15 minutes. So prepare, rehearse, make sure you deliver it within 15 minutes. Otherwise, if you just carry on rumbling, they are very likely to stop you, which could be quite awkward for you on the day. This actually happened to me once where I went for an HR business partner interview. I actually didn't stick to the time frame. I needed a couple more minutes to finish my presentation, but somehow I've managed actually to pull it off and answer those questions and additional points I had to make through follow-up questions. On a positive note, I actually did get the job as well. Sometimes organizations may ask you to complete a psychometric assessment, in which case there's really no right or wrong answers. They just simply want to see how you think, what your natural tendencies are, your leadership style, your working style, and as a result of that, they may ask you some follow-up questions as to how you manage some of the things that you raised. For example, if you struggle with deadlines, they could potentially say, how do you manage that? What did you put in place? And things like that. All this is still quite fresh in my head because I've just gone through a series of HR business partner interviews. I was actively looking to leave my current organization and my current role for the last 6 months. I have managed to land a fantastic job offer from a fantastic organization, which I start on the 6th of June. You can also find me on LinkedIn where we can connect as well. In my own experience and summary of all these interview assessments that I've just gone through now and previously, what really organizations want to see and assess us against is how we think, how we make things happen, and how we collaborate and work with other people. In terms of how to structure your answers and how long they should be, on average, if your interview is 60 minutes, where they are very likely to ask you around 4 to 5 questions, I would not suggest your answers last more than 5 to 7, 8 minutes on average. If they have any follow-up questions or need to probe you a bit more in order to get relevant information to be able to assess you, they will do so. Always make sure there is some time left towards the end of it for about 10 minutes so you can ask your own questions. If your interview panel is more than one person, for example, sometimes you can have a panel of 2 people, panel of 3 people interviewing you, make sure that towards the end of your interview, you have a question for each person. They will definitely appreciate that, and also you will be able to showcase a little bit of your working style as to how you include people and how you talk to people. When it comes to how to actually structure your answers, I'm sure you've heard of so many different models. The most popular model that often people talk about is a STAR model, which is really all about what was the situation, what was the task, what was the action, what was the result. I tend to really simplify this model even further. It is really all about what was the situation, what was your action, and what was the result. So in terms of a rough example where you have to put a bit more detail, of course, is I had to pull together a people plan. I had to pull together a team that really focused on various aspects of that plan. And now we've got a people plan in place. In terms of technical questions you may be asked, some of these questions could be framed like this. Give us an example when you had to pull together a people plan. Give us an example when you had to lead on delivering some changes in the workplace. Give us an example when you had to lead on organizational design projects. Give us an example when you had to pull together an engagement plan. Give us an example when you had to lead on change management initiatives. As you can see, these questions really probe you to give examples as to what you created, what you led on, what did you pull together that really enabled you and your stakeholders, your department, have a plan in place that's quite clear, actionable, with action owners, with a clear purpose and outcomes. As you can see, this is all about your technical knowledge and experience as to what you have done, what you created, what you pulled together, what you enabled your department to have in place, which is really important and demonstrates as to whether you can actually do the job or not. When it comes to behavioral or competency-based questions, you may get questions framed like this. Tell us about a time when you had to solve a complex problem for your department or the business. Tell us about a time when you had to be innovative and creative when it comes to solving problems in the business. Tell us about a time when you had to work with a difficult or challenging stakeholders where you actually changed their mindset or point of view. Tell us about the time when you shared your opinions and ideas that didn't go down well. Tell us about the time when you worked and collaborated with your team, where you created trust and actually enabled a project or a piece of work to be delivered. Tell us about the time when you actually introduced and tested new concepts that worked really well for the business. Or tell us about the time when you had to do something new, take some risks about something you've never done before. Tell us about the time when you supported development of others. Tell us about the time when you've learned something new and genuinely felt you upskilled yourself that could be beneficial to your own role and the wider department and the business. Some of these questions and examples I've used could sound quite high level. However, when you really think about it, they could be relevant to any level, regardless of the level you operate at as an HR business partner. It is worth mentioning that most organizations, if not all organizations, have very different HR operating models in place. So when you go for your job interviews, it is important to ask questions about their HR operating model in place, support that exists in place for you to be able to gauge and understand and assess as to how much support you will actually have in your role and how much of it you'll have to do on your own. In standard terms, HR business partners are usually surrounded by a team of specialists, or often called as centers of excellence, that you could access, call upon as and when you need their assistance and help. I would also like to add that you have HR business partners being paid and operate at different levels. Sometimes you may have an HR business partner on £30,000 a year, and sometimes you may have an HR business partner director level on a six-figure salary. And then you have so many other levels in between. In my experience, the larger the organization, the bigger the organization, the higher the salary and more opportunities. In order for you to understand the levels you're going to operate at, it is quite important to ask questions as to who this role is going to report to, for you to really understand how far in the structure you are or how low in the structure you are, so you can then really tailor the answers to the right level. Sometimes it can happen that you have junior HR business partner roles reporting to most senior HR business partners. Sometimes you may just be an HR business partner reporting to head of HR or assistant director. Sometimes you may have an HR business partner job title, but you're actually partnering executive team and you yourself could be part of the executive board. So looking, searching, applying for HR business partner roles may not be that clear cut. In your own preparation for HR business partner interviews, always list relevant examples you want to have next to you as a reminder, and then on the day when they ask you relevant questions, you will know which ones to pick and how to actually pitch it. So it is worth spending good quality time on this, because that is preparation, that is you rehearsing, and that is you really understanding the question and the answer you're going to give. In my preparation list, I often have a couple of projects, a couple of things I led on and created. I have a couple of questions ready around when I felt I was working with difficult stakeholders. I have a couple of questions ready when I felt I collaborated and worked with a team where I created some sort of nice environment that focused on actions and delivery and people knew what they needed to do. I have a couple of examples ready when I felt I actually upskilled someone, I actually helped someone do well in their role and ultimately be successful in terms of their career planning. It is also important to express your views and ideas when they ask you relevant questions as to what you think about this or that. Certain questions may come up around what do you think is happening at the moment in the market and external world. The world of work is changing, as you know. Employers' expectations are changing, employees' expectations are changing. There is clearly quite a lot going on that us as HR professionals need to be mindful of, need to have a view and potentially create a plan that would really address some of these concerns and gaps for our employers, organizations and departments we work for. When it comes to being up to date with what's happening in the HR world, developments, technology, and changes, I often read and research about consultancy reports. So, for example, I would spend good quality time on KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, McKinsey's, Gallup websites, and many others where they are publishing their own research reports. They have access to many organizations. They give lots of views as to what's happening in the HR industry and market, what's happening when it comes to technology and data. And I often use that in my examples. So when they say to me, how do you maintain your CPD and your professional development? I would often say that I actually read their reports, that I attend relevant seminars and webinars in terms of upskilling myself, always trying to be up to date. And these reports will also give you lots of ideas as to what's happening in the market, how the world of work is changing, and what sort of value we add in that aspect. This will simply demonstrate that I'm trying to be up to date, that I'm trying to read and research, and that I'm trying to form my own opinion and views as to what is currently going on in the HR market and what does it mean for me and what does it mean for my role and organizations I will be working working for. If you ever feel you would like to have a conversation with me and prepare for your future interviews, you can always book a call with me. I also have lots of toolkits and templates I use on my digital store that you can download as well. And I have recently launched an HR business partner course, which is really a technical course on how to do our job really well with relevant tools and templates, methodologies and models in place. Good luck with your job interviews. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.